Within the anime medium, there are many genres that I tend to enjoy quite a bit. At the core, we of course have our shonen series with My Hero Academia and World Trigger taking the stage. Seinen series reeling me in over the years with Beastars and Vinland Saga approaching me with thought-provoking narratives that really get my brain thinking. Can't forget the fantasy series like Magus Bride and ReZero giving us the world we wish we could live in, but with narratives that show the beauty and the darkness of those realities. Amongst all of the many genres, one that I have really opened up to over the years has been the romance genre, especially the subgenre of romance comedy. These stories that really make you feel joy and sometimes laugh or cry with romance at the heart of it all has been something that I have come to emotionally appreciate. Growing up, I'd see all types of mentions of these series from Nana to Maid-sama and of course the Honorable Fruits Basket, but I never pushed myself to ever sit down and engage with them. It wasn't until Love is War came out that I finally began to understand just how great the romance genre can be, because outside of the amazing presentation of comedy, the character writing and romantic piece were the moments that had me out of my seat screaming peak fiction. Of course, my journey had just begun at this point, and I wanted to try a romance that isn't so much of the rom-com subgenre. For a long time, I was looking for something that is more purely focused on the romance and character writing, and after some recommendations, I finally landed at The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. When I tell you guys that this was the most addicting read-through of a manga I have had since Yosakura Family, I truly mean it with utmost sincerity. It was like pure vibes being injected into my veins, and I could not get enough. It's a romance with drama sprinkled throughout, but the most consistent romantic peaks accompanied by really thoughtful character writing with stellar art being the cherry on top. In this story, we are focused on two main schools, being the Chidori Public High School and the Kikyo Private Academy. The reoccurring dilemma being that these two schools have the worst of bad blood between them, with the private academy thinking down the public school. This behavior has been influenced by societal pressure and false impressions, but that does not stop our main characters from loving each other beyond these issues. We're first introduced to Rentaro, who to many of the girls looks like somebody straight out of Tokyo Revengers, from the piercings to the blonde hair. Yet in actuality, he's a kind and earnest kid who has struggled with being seen for who he is for the majority of his life, which has affected his confidence and outgoingness when it comes to meeting new people. Thankfully, he has his bros, but even they couldn't be the biggest push for change, and sometimes it really takes a special person to really bring the best out of someone. Enter Kaoruko Waguri, a girl who attends the private school and is also the biggest sweet tooth character I have ever seen. Waguri tends to visit Rentaro's family bakery quite a bit, and when their eyes meet on a 1 in a million chance evening, it pretty much becomes love at first sight. The story from there becomes this journey of not only growth, but working towards being better when looking at Rentaro, because for Waguri, change means nothing if he can be with her and vice versa. This secret romance that is shared amongst friends slowly becomes something so beautiful because it allows these characters to overturn these negative impressions that they have been taught to believe. The focus on being seen for who you are and not what people want others to believe is by far one of the strongest parts of the story. In life, there are always going to be things like rumors and misconceptions in school and society as a whole. It's very easy to label somebody that you have never spoken to as a weird or bad person based off speculation and negative influence alone, and some of the most emotional moments come from breaking down that wall of ignorance and learning that these characters are not so different from each other. To be able to understand each other and hear each other's differences, to be able to mend that lack of understanding has done wonders narratively for this group, and yet at the heart of it all began because of Rentaro's and Waguri's relationship. The friends of the two play a huge part in showing how people can mend this misconception. There is nothing like having good friends supporting your relationship and are willing to put differences aside to guarantee the happiness of those in love. They all have their moments showing just how important Rentaro and Waguri are to them, and there could have not been a better cast than this one. I've caught myself being able to empathize with certain situations because being considerate of one's feelings as well as acting for the safety of your friends is something I think almost anyone can relate to in some manner or degree. Not all the time will your actions be the best options, but they are in the interest of others, and that level of kindness is something that can really help bond these friends together, especially when they are able to clear that air. The friendship cultivated is the foundation to allow the relationship to thrive, and I'm glad the author took their time with presenting how much everyone considers each other's feelings. Pulling back to our main couple, everything about them is absolutely wholesome no matter how you look at it. Short and pure soul girlfriend, tall and softer boyfriend, boy who makes cakes for girl who can't stop eating sweets all year long, each of them being unable to stop thinking about each other's presence, and yet every time they're together they can't get their nerves right. It's adorable to see the heights they go to ensure each other is happy, because who wouldn't do everything and almost anything to make sure your significant other knows that they have your heart. The level of effort and mindfulness of each other's hard work radiates how down bad they are for each other, and it's presented in such a charming way where it doesn't feel corny, but more so makes you want to read more and more just to see the reaction. It feels like the author and their editors had a strategy meeting about what are all the wholesome elements within a relationship that is gonna get people to smile every time they read a chapter with these two spending time together, and put the pieces on the board moment by moment. Between the dates in chapter 39, which I won't spoil, but if you know, then you know, there is never a time where I am bored with these two. I absolutely love when they spend time with each other because there is plenty of room to show how much they have grown, and Rentaro keeps delivering, especially when it comes to upholding this new faith in himself. The art is so gorgeous especially, and I would absolutely love if something like this were tackled by Kyoto Animation, because they seem like just the perfect people for the job to truly capture the level of heartburn this manga gives me from everything romantic. There's also this really emotional soft spot I have for the parents of the series, because for Rentaro's especially, it's constant moments of triumph. The various incidents that affected Rentaro for majority of his life have been weights on their shoulder as well, and to be able to witness their son being seen for the type of kid he was truly raised to be is some of the best emotional writing the story can offer. The story is very character driven, given that everyone and the strides they make towards understanding one another plays a part in the narrative, but it's a narrative that is constantly touching the heart. I feel like this story has the potential to really push an important message when looking at the perception each school has of each other and how to overcome that adversity. These characters can work towards overcoming this obstacle, and with Rentaro and Raguri's relationship being at the center of it all, it will leave a really great impression, especially in the climax of the series, if that is an option that comes to pass. I know that this romance is probably missing the more difficult moments that all relationships have, and I'm sure it's coming, but considering the series is really just getting started, it has done a phenomenal job getting me invested for the long term. I want to imagine that there will come a time where Rentaro will be able to hold his head up higher than he has ever been able to hold it up before, and Raguri will be standing right beside him through thick and thin, because sometimes it just takes that one person that makes you want to be the best version of yourself. I wish I could go into more detail about all of this, but I'd honestly just end up spoiling such an enjoyable ride for you all. Believe me when I say that this can easily be one of the best reads that you have been sleeping on, and I urge anyone to give this a shot, even if you believe you aren't a romance fan, because if there is one thing the medium will do, it's making you a fan of the unexpected. The best part is, it's a weekly manga that comes out on Sundays, so right after you get done reading Shonen Jump, you can tune into the next chapter of this story. Romance is always going to be something you have to navigate, and it may not be something easy for everyone, but it sure ain't dead. And if by chance there's a timeline where author Saka Mikami sees this video, then I hope they know they're doing a damn good job of ensuring so. That's pretty much it from me though. As always, thank you for watching, and if you are a fan of The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, make sure to leave all your thoughts in the comments section down below. Stay safe out there, and I will catch you guys in the next video.